What's up, fellow collectors? My name is Seville, and today I'm going to be talking about the first ever Mortal Kombat figure from McFarlane Toys. This is Sub-Zero, based on his appearance in the newest game, Mortal Kombat 11. Personally, I never spend a whole lot of time looking at the box my figures come in, so if you can give me just a few more seconds, I'll have this figure out of his package. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and comment below. And if you want to see more from me, please subscribe and hit that notification bell. Now that Sub-Zero has been freed from his plastic prison, I'm going to give him another full rotation on the spinner, that way you can see him all the way around. I haven't really covered McFarlane Toys much in the past, because I do prefer my figures to have a decent amount of articulation. And up until the Fortnite figures, that just wasn't McFarlane's thing. So now, let's take a good long look at the full body of this figure, both front and back. At first glance, I'm definitely impressed with the amount of detail that went into this figure. However, when I think about it, McFarlane has always been known for having a lot of great detail in his figures. It's just, I'm glad to see the detail did not go away with the articulation being added in. When I look at the figure side by side with the video game image, I personally can't see any sculpt details that have been missed. Granted, I won't deny that the paint's a little spotty here and there. However, the sculpt itself looks great. For the most part, it's only when you get in really close that you start to see some of the paint flaws. 9 times out of 10, if you just got it displayed on a shelf, you wouldn't really see them. Unfortunately, the biggest issue of mine is that the left eye is definitely not centered. Plus, the armbands around his biceps are not quite as blackened as they should be. Definitely too much skin tone showing. Moving down the figure, it does get better, but that may possibly just be because there's less to be painted different colors. I am pretty impressed at how the detailed patterns of his costume do stay consistent, even where there's flaps and folds, and especially the knot on the front. It's definitely a reminder of what McFarlane is capable of. Moving on to the accessories, let's take a look at the skull and spine. Much like the figure itself, the sculpt of this piece looks like it's straight out of the game, even with the eyeball hanging out of the right socket. However, I do wish they'd done better with the colors. The ice effects of the games were much more heavily accented with whites and lighter blues, instead of the dark blue that the piece comes with here. But nonetheless, it does still look pretty awesome anyway. Aside from the skull and spine, he does also include an ice axe. It is of the same shades of blue and clear, but still not quite as accurate as it could have been. The figure does in fact include 2 axes that are exactly identical. Personally, I wish they would have included an ice ball or an ice blast effect. Now, let's talk about all the articulation this figure has to offer. The head does move up and down a little bit, and of course has full rotation side to side. The shoulders do spin all the way around as well as move outward, but the armor does get in the way just a little bit. Plus, underneath the armor there does appear to be some butterfly joints, but they don't really seem to add much to the movement. The biceps do have full rotation, the double jointed elbows do close pretty well, and the wrists also have full rotation. The upper torso appears to be on a ball joint, which does offer some backwards motion, as well as a little bit of an ab crunch, but not too much. Along with that, though, is a tornado waist. Moving down to his legs, Sub-Zero does kick sideways really well, but it doesn't balance well enough to do so without the accompanying stand. And the same does go for kicking forwards as well. There is a bit of a thigh cut type rotation just above the knee, and as you can see, the knee is double jointed and does fold really well. Finally, the ankle is on a ball joint for a full range of front to back movement as well as a pivot, plus there is a toe joint that folds just about in half. Many collectors, myself included, have been wondering how the McFarlane line might fit in with the Storm Collectibles line. Would they be too big, too small? Just how would they look side by side? Well, here's the answer. The McFarlane Sub-Zero is just a little bit taller than the Storm Sub-Zero. As many of you probably know though, Storm started with Scorpion and then just repainted the suit colors to match the subsequent ninjas. Now though, they've made a new Scorpion based on his appearance in Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, and it is a bit bigger and bulkier. Therefore to me, it does fit a bit better with the McFarlane figures than the earlier ninjas. But, in case you don't own any Storm Collectibles, I'm going to compare Sub-Zero to a few figures from other lines that you may have instead. Starting with DC Collectibles TV Supergirl and DC Multiverse Injustice Superman. Next, I have Marvel Legends MCU Loki and Star Wars Black Series Rey, followed by Mattel's WWE Elite Collection Asuka and Dolph Ziggler, and then next I'll have the Power Rangers Legacy Armored Red Ranger, along with the Power Rangers Lightning Collection Psycho Blue Ranger. And finally, I have NECA's Jason Voorhees, based on Freddy vs. Jason, along with the Terminator from T2. So, with all that said, it's time to run this McFarlane Toys Sub-Zero figure through my guidelines for a complete and fair review. Being that this is a brand new line, it is a totally new sculpt that is highly detailed and incredibly accurate to the character. Even though the colors of the accessories weren't quite right, I'm not going to hold that against the score of the figure itself. This figure does have more than 20 points of articulation, and I can't really say anything about the scale because, again, this is the first figure of the line. However, mine did have some quality control issues, such as paint flaws, plus some of the joints did start to get a little too loose during this process, leading to some balance issues. Back on the positive side though, I do believe this figure is worth the retail price of roughly $20 to $25, plus, if it's not already available at your local GameStop stores, it should become widely available very soon. Leading the McFarlane Sub-Zero to an 8 out of 10 star rating, meaning it is excellent and still a must-own for all fans. Therefore, if you're a fan of the Mortal Kombat series at all, whether you've gotten any of the figures from other companies before, or this would be your first, I highly recommend adding it to your collection. Now, just for a quick piece of information, during the process of recording this Sub-Zero review, I'm also in the process of doing the UMK3 Scorpion review. So, if you'd like to see my thoughts on that, be sure to check back on my channel soon. Or, if you're watching this video after I've already uploaded the Scorpion video, I will put a link in the description below. Thank you guys for watching, and if you like this video,
get over here!
And subscribe to Civilian Collectibles.